This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Very special guest is Jessica de Vreeze. Thank you very much for being here. All right. And so, Jessica, I just want to make sure people understand it's de Vreeze,
Yes.
not with a B, but with a V.
Yeah, with a V.
And you're an artist. So first, tell us about you as a human being and how you started in this art arena and about sharing what you have inside and why you wanted to share that.
So first, I want to thank you for having me because it's a great opportunity and I'm delighted to be here for a second time. Why am I an artist, if it's the question? I just saw something online 2 days ago saying art choose me to be an artist. I have not chosen it. And I don't agree with that. You totally choose to be an artist. So we all have talents and we can work on things that we are not talented on if we want. We always have a way to express ourselves, but being an artist is a true decision because it's not hard when it comes to creating and really expressing who you are, what you want to express, but it's hard on the everyday because it's one of the only jobs that doesn't get a monthly paycheck, healthcare, and or like even a recurring income. So if someone wants to become an artist, they need to feel it in their heart, soul, and have a lot of work.
And driven. A lot to be able to do that, where so often it is unrewarded. And so often when we do things, whether you're on stage or whether you're a writer, right? If you don't get that feedback and you don't get the connection to the people, do you wonder, say, why am I doing this? Or but is it so inside to say, no, I need to keep going?
So I think you never wonder why you're doing this because this is the obvious way you know that you want to be doing it and you want to find the ways to keep on doing it. And also I heard you are who you are from birth to now. The choice you make will make who you are to the external people. And you need to be driven. And you need to be passionate.
When did you externalize that as far as you being a creative person?
I always drew. And I mean, it's not only about visual art. I love art in all form. I love art when we look around in the street and you look at buildings, you see the little details, everything is thought. Even the shirt we're wearing, the music we are listening.
So sometimes when you look at something, you see something different than a lot of other people that aren't into it. You might be like, oh, look at that. The rest of us are going, yeah, okay. It's just one of a million. So I'm so happy that you recognize that. So tell us about some of the work that you have here on the table.
So the idea is also that art really brings happiness to the world and it uplifts people and it inspires. Even if, as you said, you see it in the corner of your eyes, it will leave a lasting impression and then you carry it. It's like a smile. If you see somebody smiling, you will just keep on smiling. And if you see somebody with a bad face and like not happy, you will say, what happened? And then, it makes an impression. So for example, I wanted absolutely to explain the difference in mediums, the difference of between original, limited edition, open edition, what type of art, photography, painting.
And on the overlays, we have under your name, visual artist.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
So visual artist means that I use mainly images or visual thing to show my art. So it could be painting, it could be art installation, it could be photography, and I have the chance to be able to do all of them differently, but all of them. So I like to not be limited to one medium, but to go from one to the other. But I keep the same story. It's about people and places and the way they interact with each other and bringing more positivity into our world.
Okay. So tell us about some of the work that you have here.
Okay, so here I brought a photograph that is actually now at the Old Print Shop Gallery in New York, which is a great gallery that is representing me. And it's a photograph I took in Breda in the Netherlands. And I thought this doesn't have a timestamp on it. So it brings you to think what is happening there. And you think it could be like a mother and a daughter, two friends. You never know. There is a story that you can create in your head. And that's the idea. I always try to have something that you can keep on thinking about it.
When I'm looking at it, it looks like it could be the late 50s to early 60s. And then the more I look at I thought it was a child over on the right, but it might not be, because as I'm looking, her legs are a little bit bigger, right? And she's wearing different type of shoes. But when was this photograph taken?
So I took it actually in 2017 in Breda. And then I decided to show it for the first time in 2020, actually, at the first show I did in an art fair after COVID in New York. And then I showed it again in Miami, because this, for example, is an original work. So it's created by me, it's original, but it's a limited edition. So it exists in 2 sizes. Every time I can print it 5 times plus 2 artist proof. And yeah, that was one of the things I wanted.
So tell us about the first time that your work was on display in a place that you were really excited about.
So I did in 2016 my first solo show in a gallery in Chelsea. It was incredible. Like it was just after moving from Luxembourg. I decided that I wanted to start my career in a big way in the US. And I got this opportunity to do a show with 18 art pieces, all by myself. And I co-created with another artist a flash mob, which is, like you have something happening like that is not expected. So we had 18 dancers, one for each art piece. And we were also using this opportunity to raise money for Save a Child's Heart, who's helping children with a congenital heart disease. So we kind of did everything at the same moment. And so what happened is I had more than 250 people. We had security at the door. People were waiting to come in. It was incredible. And then at 8 p.m., we stopped the music, turned off the light, and then you get those 18 dancers dressed in F. Bizarre outfits that just came out of downstairs. And then a little ballerina, Charlotte, who just came into the middle, and then it happened, and and that was incredible.
So you like sharing those things?
Yes.
So even as you explain it, you can see the excitement that you have. So tell us about some of your other work that you have here.
So I brought this. So this one is, oops. So it's maybe the camera will catch it. So this one is called L'Irrégulière. I created in 2022, and it's a very teeny tiny mixed media. So it's a mix of painting and photography. And I like the idea to be able to mix the medium. And this one, for example, is the original. I showed it only 2 times, one time in Miami and one time in London. And then I made some prints. So for example, I sold the prints and the original is still available. So that's also something I wanted to explain when you let me.
And so people can follow you on Instagram.
Yes.
Tell us about
my Instagram is Jessica de Vreeze. So it's my name. All my social media is my name, my website. It's JESSICAD.
Can we put the overlays back up so people can see that? There we go.
Yeah, so just my name.
All right. All socials under that.
Yes.
Tell us about this here.
So this was a book that I did to show some of my fine art photography evolution and to make it available to people. But I decided, for example, to make only 6 of those little books. So.
Okay. So you have these couple things here, and then you have some things behind you. So
yes.
Whenever you're ready.
So I was, okay. Let me show, I'm going to switch. So this one is Tea Room Stories. So this one is Abundance. And it's...
When you say abundant, that's in the...
It's the name.
Okay, abundant. Right.
So this is a painting that took me 5 months to make. It's very small, but it took 5 months because I did it in oil. And I didn't want to put anything to accelerate the drying. And I wanted to create some texture, even though it looks very smooth. And
is it textured?
A little bit. You can touch if you want.
My hands are
a privilege.
Oh, yes. Okay.
It's a teeny...
Yes.
And the idea is, it took 5 months. So that when I love taking photographs, but if I feel that another medium is better, or if I don't see what I want to take as a photograph, then I create it in another way.
So tell us what the inspiration on this was.
So this one was about balance in life, about how you attract abundance and good things in your life. So you have the sun and you have the moon, that are the masculine, feminine, and the universal forces. You have different plants. So you have the desert rose, you have the elephant ears, you have the orange blossom, because I just love it. And all of them represent something like fidelity, success, abundance.
When you started on this, on that, did you know how it was going to wind up?
So no, I had to change it a little bit. So you see, I have a little eye here. At the beginning, I had another eye, and no, you change as you go. Actually, you have a vision, and then it progresses. Yeah, and that's okay. So one thing that happened that really resonated with me and told me I need to share the behind the scenes of art in terms of value. So for example, I heard the story of a woman. She was so excited. She bought a beautiful painting, beautifully framed at an auction at an outrageous price. And suddenly I come and I look, and I know, because I have now I have shown in six countries, 2 continents. I have collectors in 60 cities. I mean, I have worked for 9 years as an artist, and I know things that some people may not be educated with. And so suddenly I see a little teeny tiny number on the corner on the down part. And I see number 7 out of 500. So the person thought she bought, because nobody told her it was not. It was advertised as a painting, but it was not. It was a print of a painting that was reproduced 500 times and sold with a price of a real original painting. And I thought we need to explain that to people, because art is something that has no value, because it really draws emotion, makes you happy. You fall in love with an art piece, you like the artist's story, and you're invited into that. But also you need to understand, the difference. Why are you paying $50? What are you paying $10,000? Why are you paying all those things?
So for the non-collector, you might look at something, let's say it's $500. And that has a certain feeling for them. But when they hear the story about that, it adds value to that.
Yes.
All right. And so when somebody looks at something, where are they going to get the storyline? And where do they get to meet an artist that can have the conversations that explain how this is working?
So nowadays we have social media, which is great because you can learn a lot there. But of course, when you have art fairs, you have exhibition in galleries, on opening nights, you're sure to meet the artist most of the time. And this is also why you should also invest in artists that are currently creating and living, that you have the chance to really meet. Yeah.
So in Miami, there's Coconut Grove Art Festival. Typically is in February.
Yes.
Right? And then there's one here in South Miami. When you go and you can see the artist and have a conversation about it, it certainly enhances it when it's up on your wall or on your door, or wherever it is, because it's really when a collector can say, I met this artist and you ought to hear her story. I remember last time when we spoke, tell me about, did you have some explanation on some of your work?
So normally in certain venues, I put a little explanation. Like, for example, now I have an art piece at the Museum of Coral Gable. It's called Keep on Dancing. And I wrote a little paragraph to explain to the viewer, as I was there for the opening night, but I'm not there every day. But most of the time, it's also part of how you show your work. Do you want people to just discover? Like, I like to think of Mary Poppins, my work, I like to think as you're going to step in and enter a new universe. So it's your journey.
So you were in Miami Beach. We have an event over there once a year. Tell us about that.
So there is many events in Miami. There is Art Basel that is extraordinary. You have more than 10 main art fairs. Then you have small satellite art fairs. You have gallery shows, you have shows in...
So there's a main one, plus all throughout.
Oh, yes.
All throughout.
You could not sleep for 7 days and have not done everything yet. You know, it's so rich and incredible, and you have all type of art, and that's also the thing. The artists need to show their work. There is many ways to show your work, and you have specific things like art fairs that are curated. So not every artist is able to come. You have markets, you have outdoor festivals, you have restaurants, you have galleries, you have shops, design concept stores.
And there are all sorts of artists.
Yes.
The type of work you do. Tell us some of the other, what would fall under the artists. What type of work do they do?
So you have artists that are really specialized in one medium, and they stick to that medium. Is that the question you ask? So those are really like painters. You have abstract artists. You have installation artists. I was at a museum recently, and it was incredible. You could touch something, and you would hear a noise on the other side. I love the idea when the spectator becomes part of the art. Mm-hmm. So, and you have the photography is, you think it's only one click, but it's not only one click. It's more than that. You have a vision, you frame a moment, then you take a picture, then you decide whether you're going to print it, how you're going to print it, what you're going to use to print it.
Let's talk about that banana at the Art Basel a few years ago.
This banana, yeah. So this was very interesting. So that's also this. You have new ways to show work. You have like augmented reality, you have digital work, and you have stunts.
Just as a matter of explanation.
Yes.
It was a board on the wall, and taped to the board was a
banana.
A banana.
So the idea is that Maurice Catalan, the artist, he had this process. So every time he would create, he would sit in his studio, put a banana with a tape on the wall, and think, what am I going to create? And he was with a very bold gallerist. I'm not going to say the name, but everybody knows that gallerist. That is actually really innovator. It's a gallerist that has not done any studies after high school, and that has created like an empire of gallery. And he even opened for the first time in history his capital to like an hedge fund or something that he sold for 100 million. So it's a gallery that likes stunts, yes, and that likes to make a noise, and they are right about it. So this man decided, in the end, they decided that they would put the banana on the wall. I was there. I was at Art Basel that day. And we were like looking, but that raised the question, who's doing the value of the art? Is it the collector who's going to buy the banana at $120,000? Which is actually just a concept, because what they sold is not the banana, because the banana is rotting on the wall. They sold the right to be able to reproduce this installation on your wall. And they sold this 3 times at $120,000, if my numbers are correct. And this sold for 1.2 million recently. Like, again, it's who's making the value? The artist, the gallerist, the art fair, because there is this combination. The artist is not known, the gallerist is very known. Art Basel is extremely, Miami is extremely exceptional. And then there is the collector who decides, well, I'm going to put the money.
It's wonderful. But you bring up a really good point. We have just a couple of minutes left. How does the value of it come about? So you have people all over that have that influence, and if the collector says, "I love that," and it's talking to me, it's certainly worth a lot more to the collector, right? So, do we have some other things behind you there?
Yes. So. Okay. So, for example, I'm going to show you this.
So here's what we have 3 minutes left in this part. Okay. All right.
So I decided that I wanted. Should I put it here? Okay. That I wanted to put my art accessible to people, at least a little bit, because I love art, and when you can't buy something, you're like, oh my God, I'm so disappointed. So, for example, this is called Cutie. It's an edition of 5 photographs of the same. So this photograph. And I decided to do one that is very accessible on this size. And then it goes up one size. So it's 5 across the sizes. And so the first one is $120, and most of my first one that are minuscule like that goes really fast. And then you have one that is 500 that is a little bit bigger, et cetera. But yeah, I wanted to say that sometimes, like some of your art is going to be so wanted. Like I have one photograph that is in many incredible collections, collector homes. And this was started at 1,650, an edition of 7, the first one. Then it went up to 2,000, etc. Now it's 3,200. It's the last one,
So there is something about keeping it in a limited supply that as a collector that you enjoy that.
Yes.
Because if you look at it and you go, I don't know, this is the 9,999 out of 40,000. The value is less, even though that the art is the same.
Exactly. That's also why I brought those two pieces, because I wanted to show this is the original and this is a print. So the print is an open print that is more for people to be able, like when you go to a museum, to buy something and bring home. But the value lies in the original.
Okay. We have some more I see back there.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to get through those, right?
Okay. So this one, for example, is a print of a painting that is much bigger. So what I do is I never reproduce identically to the original. So this is smaller than the original. And so many people loved it, the original, but they were not able to buy it. And I decided to do an open print.
So for the uninitiated like myself, I look at a couple things. One, what's the frame look like? What am I going to put into my house?
Yes.
Right. And that's really telling the story, and would love to be able to say, and by the way, all right, this is the artist. And let me tell you a little bit about the artist.
So that I'm going to show you. This is the why so I decided not to have prints anymore at the shows, and I frame things. And so this one is a photograph. And if you see, it's printed on fine art paper, and it has torn edge. This photo I took with a camera that I used from the Lake Astor.
So there's 3 levels there that I can see.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So the idea is, and this one I decided to do an edition of 10. So the bigger the edition, the more flexibility you have with the price. So this is, I love to shift perspective, but I also thought, if people see it as a print, a loose print like this, maybe they don't see it properly. So I frame it, and I really framed it how I envision it. So this is gargantuesque perspective, because this is New York City, but what you see first, the flowers, and you see New York from another angle.
And it's sort of 3-dimensional.
Yes.
And obviously, so the 3 levels, and the plants seem to be like growing right at us.
Yes.
Right.
So that's.
And we have, I think, another couple that we can take a look at it.
Okay. So this I put back here. Okay, so this one, I like to use art to raise money for causes. And I created this one. It's called The Best Alarm System in the World. And this is completely an open print. So I have never did it as a limited edition. And it's just, and every time I sell it, I give back 30% to a nonprofit. And I started selling it in 2017 and kept on going. And I have it in different sizes because people don't have,
So on one hand, you frame things because, in some cases, because you believe that it'll accentuate your work, and then you also have work which is put the frame on it that you want.
Yes, because yesterday I had the pleasure to see a very big art collector home on 4 levels in Miami. Incredible collection. And what I loved, not only the art that they picked, but the way that every frame is different. So every art has its own story, and they thought about the framing each time differently.
Jessica, we're going to wrap it up. So again, people can find you at Jessica de Vreeze.
Yes.
On all social media.
Yes.
And I suspect there's going to be a little something after this.
Yes.
And so there may be some things you want to cover in that.
So I can just show this one. This is which way should I put it here? This is actually currently it's called Keep on Dancing, and it's at the Coral Gable Museum. It's part of the Centennial.
Describe to people what that is.
So this is a woman dancing, and I took the picture with my Leica camera, all in manual. And I wanted, the light to go over her hair and to see the motion, And for me, it has a double meaning, but it's really the idea that in life, you can keep on dancing. And whatever happens, you can raise back and get up.
What comes to my mind is flash dance.
Yes.
Remember that from 40 years ago, and I happened to hear it the other day. And so that's my immediate thing about how exciting that was at that point. And this is her backside, and their hair is off to our right. Jessica, thank you so much for being here. And we're going to look right into the red camera. And what I would like you to do, I would like you to thank somebody that helped you along your journey.
Wow. So I could thank so many people because being an artist is about being helped by everyone. I could thank first my husband. And I want to thank also the old print shop in New York because they have been the first gallery to open up to me and they have an incredible journey. And Nivea at the Art After Dark in Las Vegas, where I have my work right now.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to look right over there, folks. Remember, take care of yourselves and your family. Thank you for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hello and welcome back. This is the After Show with Amber. I'm Amber from Miami's Community News. I'm usually behind the cameras as your producer, but today I'm here with Jessica as we go over some more pieces of artwork.
Thank you for having me again. I'm so excited. You're a person of many talents.
Thank you. You're a person of many talents.
Oh, thank you.
Photography, painting, but even just framing stuff, you do such beautiful work.
For the frame, I have the best to help me. So that I have a print Giclée in Miami. They are incredible. And I have in New York also the best people. And then as I go in each city, I found the best people because I am not good at it.
So I see you have some extra pieces here to show us today, correct?
Yes. So the idea I wanted really to show to people that, so first of all, you have the art piece that you fall in love with. Mm-hmm. And it could be just a piece of paper that your child drew and that you're going to frame because that's the most wonderful art piece. So that's fine,
Right.
And then when you go to art fairs or a gallery, you're looking at so many things and you don't really understand why one thing is priced that way, the other is priced that way, and you're just seeing the art piece and you say, well, I like this, I just don't get it. Some people who are more seasoned collectors understand, but not everyone. So I thought it was a great opportunity to show, for example, some of my art pieces and then explain why I chose to make it like an edition of 5 or an edition of 10. Okay. Or in that one, I wanted to do an open print because it's an original piece that is not reproduced in limited way.
Because a lot of people don't know the reasons behind why there's certain editions of paintings or photography out there. It's kind of, I don't even know much about it. So I think it'd be very interesting to talk about why the reason behind these certain numbers of prints.
Okay, so first of all, usually when there is a painting, mm-hmm. or a sculpture or an installation, it's a one of a kind, unless it can be duplicated. Sometimes it is for installations and sculpture. And the painting is usually always one of a kind. Then you have photograph that people can decide it's going to be sold once, but it's rarely the case for a photograph. Mm-hmm. Or I can sell it, I can print it 5 times or 10 times, 15 times. I think above 35 times, it's become less of a collectible, but very known artists can do it 100 times. But for me, the smaller is the better. And then you have the question, sometimes you want your art to live beyond the one.
Right.
So it's always an original, but there is other ways to share it. So for example, when you go to the museum, not many people can buy a Van Gogh for their home. Yeah. And I'm not comparing myself, but the idea is you're going to be able to buy a poster or to buy a print. So those cost something to make. So mm-hmm. it needs to have a price. Yes. But it's also more of a merchandise, decorative merchandise, because it's printed in many, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of, there's postcards and posters, and it's used in many different ways.
Exactly.
It's still the same work, but you're only going to have one original Van Gogh. It's just transformed and used visually to like in other mediums.
Yeah, and it also can support that way the museum, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And for artists themselves, it can support them as well, because I don't know how many art pieces I produce per year. Sometimes I will do 20 art pieces in a year. Sometimes I do like 6. Sometimes it depends which medium I'm working on, of course. And sometimes I have commissions, like it depends. So the artist needs also to have a way to share their art with many, because they want to have the pleasure to have it at their home. And also it provides some kind of like livelihoods as well. But then for the photography, it's very different, because with photography, you're painting with light.
Yes.
And once you decide how you're gonna like develop, whether it's digital or analog, you decide how you're going to print it. And depending on how you print it, the quality changes. So, for example, if you print it on photo paper, that is not archival. If you put it in front of the window for like 2 years, especially in Miami, you might have nothing at the end.
Yeah, the sun's going to bleach it out.
Exactly. And for me, for example, I really always print on museum quality and archival ink, so that I made sure my art, I mean, at least the more I can, that my art will keep being there for several generations.
Yeah.
And therefore you say, okay, this art piece, this photograph, I'm going to print it 5 times, and then I will have 2 artist proof, and that's it. And then the value will be decided depending on that. It's not only the size, it's not only the career of the artist, it's also how many do you have. If you have 100, it's less expensive than if you have 5 for the buyer. And if 5, 7, it's not a big difference, but and if you have one of a kind, of course, the price raise as well.
Exactly. And because of the quality of the print, it like adds value to the art when you treat it with such respect and put it on museum quality like canvas and ink it. It's different from just like printing it on like some printer paper at home, right? Yes. Even if someone were to scan it, they would never truly capture the same beauty of that photograph.
Yeah, because there is all an art to printing as well. Printing is like, so I work with studios that are extremely high quality, working with fine art. We decide really how much shadow, how much vibrance is going to go on the paper, the texture of the paper and the quality of the paper. So it could have grain, it could be soft. Everything will change how it looks in the end. So for example, to have one print, you might need to do a couple of art proofs, and some of them you're going to like actually go to the bin, And also whether it's digital, whether it's analog, like analog, you can play, like I love to develop my own photograph when I take my photograph and with like film. And then I love to develop them, because then you can decide to burn some details or to enhance. Like it's a game. I love it. Yeah.
So is there anything specific you'd like to share about
so
these
for
pieces?
example, this one is called Unbreakable.
Okay.
So it's I decided to have it as a limited edition of 5. And this one doesn't have an artist proof, because I did it in 5 sizes. So that means there is 25, but in different sizes.
Yeah, 5 of each.
Yeah. Then this one.
This one here.
No. Oh yeah, sorry. So this one is Unbreakable, because I love to take like details of the walls and of cities and see how people interact with their surroundings, and remind ourselves that we are unbreakable if we choose to, and it's we are one,
Yeah, it's a beautiful message.
Yeah, and this one is 1 out of 10, and it's called I'm Human After All. So I decided this is 2 photographs, and I played with it on Photoshop, which I don't do often. I barely use it unless I have a reason. So if you see in the foreground, you have a sculpture, that I took the picture in Paris, in the Trocadero. It's one of my favorite place. And then in the background, it's a street in Luxembourg. And in the super background, you have the Palais de Justice, the court of Luxembourg. So it's like on 3 levels. So it's a little bit of my past, present, future, and everything. And about the reflection that we are all a human, so the idea was to bring together different elements and create an art piece. And then I printed on archival paper, fine art paper, and I did an edition of 10 across sizes, which means that I will print it only 10 times, but I can do it in any size. So it could be as big as the wall behind us.
Yeah, and as big as this print or as small as that one, right?
And of course, the price will change depending on the size of the print.
Right. Because, that's really interesting how there's like set prices for certain size prints, and then other times it's a variable size and a variable price, but there's only a certain amount. I never really thought of like the differences between the two, but that's very interesting how that kind of like develops along with the piece and the production of it.
Yeah, and it's also like I was discussing with Michael another day, and he was saying 2 birds. The price was like $500,000 for them, and he was saying, he asked, why would it be so expensive? And the person said, they are the only 2 birds. If you want them, that's the price, Like, so I said, actually, the price is so subjective, but of course there are some kind of idea behind why do we put prices. And then like on original that are only 1, or even like on some of my art that are limited but almost sold out, you can vary the price. And in the end, it's more about bringing happiness to the people and being really grateful to have them bring it into their home. But it's like, I get one of the best comments I get recently was, oh, your art piece brings so much joy to my home. And I'm like, wow, this is so nice.
That is very sweet. So we've talked about how prices vary between different pieces of art, and we've shown your artwork off, but I wanted to discuss, how do you initially value the artwork in the first place? How do you get that initial price point, and how does that price point then get varied from there?
Okay, so as an artist, depending on your career, or completely subjectively, it depends. But on my case, I'm working as an artist for 9 years. I did more than 31 shows, including art gallery,
very impressive,
art fairs, and I did different continents. I have now my art pieces in 17 countries, 60 cities about, and 4 continents, my collectors. So it's like, wow. Yeah, I did that because I wanted to do a catalog of my art. And I was thinking, where is my art now? And some I don't know, because actually when the galleries sell, they don't always tell me where they sold. But the one I know is already that. So because I did shows in galleries and now starting in museums and all those things, I have external factors. For example, Art Facts is a platform that rates an artist and kind of a repertoire read. Yeah, my French accent is killing me right now. But anyway, that puts together like 1.1 million artists. So from Andy Warhol to Picasso to Rembrandt to me, that I'm in the mix, and to many others. And for example, I'm now, one is the best ranked, because art is subjective, and then 1.1 million is the lowest. And I'm 142,000 out of 1.1 million.
Top like 15%.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And like I'm 10,000 in the US and 4,000 in France. And so they, for example, they give you, when they go through their analytic, where did you show, what is your CV, basically, your art CV, they are looking at what would be your median value, for example. So they, for example, as an external entity, provide a value. Then you can have the gallerist that could say, or the curator that could have an idea, and you as an artist, you know about your worth. So it's not only, I don't always calculate with time, because it's not about the time, like 5 months for abundance, you know, like, okay. So, but then I kind of price myself depending on the size and the medium I use.
So there's a lot of factors that go into it. The materials used, the size of the artwork, the amount of time does play a factor, but it's not the only amount that judges the price point. You have people who judge from median value and see how the price should vary from there. You judge your whole career. That's very interesting how many factors go into pricing artworks as you progress through your career. It's very interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I haven't ever heard someone talk about this before.
And I thought it was very important to know, because that is not something you learn overnight. And unless you did some studies about it, or you're really an avid collector and have been seeing all the different galleries, the art fair, you don't really know. And I thought it's important to see. Then you have, there is so many.
Because I'm sure you've had people approach you like, oh, I think that's only worth like $200, right? Like that photograph. But
yeah, and they don't, I didn't have that so much, thank God, but really it's some people say, why is it so expensive, you know, like, or some people say, why is it so cheap? Yeah, so because like art sometimes is about snob, you know, like if it's not like $10,000, I'm not gonna put it on my wall, you know, and I don't play those games, you know, like as you progress anyway, there is only, for example, 1 of each or 5 of each, and at one point you don't have, so the supply will and the demand will kind of give a better price, and you evolve with time.
Okay, that's very interesting. Before we wrap up, I do want to get your opinion, because we're moving into a digital age and we see some more artists producing stuff digitally. Do you think the way art in the future will be priced will be different from how it is today when it's hung up in museums? Or do you think there'll be a different way the price will vary? Because when you have digital pieces, you can get almost near the exact like original print quality of a digital piece shown on like a display in a museum, as opposed to an actual physical production. Do you think that'll change over time?
So it has already changed. So it's a great question. So now art has so many components. You have crypto art,
you know,
like
the NFTs.
NFTs. I have one NFT somewhere, and that with an art fair. No, it's true. I have 4 of them. You have, and then you're thinking, how do people even appreciate what they have? So does it becomes really like just an investment, you know?
Right.
And then you have also augmented reality. So for example, you have one art piece and then you use something to make it go live. I have some of my art, my art pieces that have some component of augmented reality.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm also in Wynwood as a hologram. So this is AR Miami IO. It's by G.F. Radcal. He gathered artists and curated some art. So when you go in different places of Miami, mine is in Wynwood, you point your phone and actually there is a map to tell you where it is. And then you see me in the air and you hear me talking about 2 of my art pieces.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And so I think, you know, the banana, that is a concept that goes to the trash, you know, can be 1.2 million. So there is a person who sold an invisible sculpture.
An invisible sculpture?
Yes. I was like in shock. So they install it themselves. You're going to think, what are they installing? So they put like a pedestal, they put a light on it, and they say that's the sculpture. And so the sculpture is invisible, and the person paid, I think, $300,000 for it.
Wow.
So you're like, what is happening here? So really, art is super subjective, and there is so many ways to share and to be out there with art.
Yeah, with how art has been progressing in the modern era and how subjective it's become, I really am looking forward to all the different advances that we're going to see in art in the coming future, because there's just so much to explore these days.
Yes, I love also what they do. Sometimes you go into a room and you're completely surrounded by projection of art. And I really think that art doesn't stop on a paper or a painting or sculpture. Like video is an art, movie, smell, olfactory, the music, you know. So it's there is so many ways to be living with art.
That's a beautiful way to close us off. Is there a way that the audience can reach you once again?
So you can follow me on Jessica de Vreeze. So my name is somewhere it will be there on the screen. And so I am there on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. I'm on LinkedIn, on Facebook, not so active, but I'm there too. And my website, and then you can meet me at one of my shows. So opening night is always the best to meet me. And thank you so much for giving me this.
It was an absolute pleasure to have you here and show off all this amazing artwork that you brought to the show.
There is so much to tell. It's
I know, there's so much.
I'm sure I forgot things, but it's okay. Thank you.
Well, we got through quite a good chunk of it, that's for sure.
Thank you very much again.
It was an absolute pleasure, and thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.